Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge. First off, we have two new patrons to welcome. There is an Alyssa, not quite sure how you pronounce it. I grew up with a neighbor who her name is spelled like this and she went by Elisa. And then I also had a friend who was close to this and it was Alyssa, so I'm not sure, but either way, this lovely human has joined, as well as Bene has also joined to support me here. So thank you so much. You keep the wheels turning. And I just did sprints the other day where patrons were able to join if they wanted to. And I do have the next, the monthly exclusive review will be up in the next week. I've been real busy with, I'll show you guys this, but the Patreon book boxes are taking up this entire part in front of my bookshelf. I'll show you. All of those are ready to ship now. I just have to, I'm waiting for some more tissue paper to get delivered. And then I'm going to start shipping those out. So I can't wait. That feels a little crooked. So yeah, thank you so much for supporting me. Then I would be remiss if I didn't tell you guys that I have a summer closeout sale going on in my Etsy. I know, I talk about it a lot, but I'm always going to talk about the creative things that I do. And I want you guys to get a hold of these because the spooky season is coming. I was able to purchase some beautiful spooky fabrics from Joann's. They're having their Halloween sale already. And I also got this cute mug, which I'll definitely use in a couple photos, but it says Hexy Witch on it. Oh, and it's purple, which is my favorite color. So good. I have actual hot coffee today. I normally have iced coffee, but we got some hot coffee. But anyway, I am having a summer closeout sale, so everything on my Etsy is 35% off. That's about as big of a sale as I can go and still make a return on supplies. So everything in there, including my laptop sleeves. We have the 2 in stock of these. We have a couple of the cute little pouches left. There is also, I think, a Star Wars one on there too, but the fun little pencil or annotating pouches. I love those. And then we have the XL sleeves. These ones fit hardbacks, as well as I always show the example of one of the Outlander books fits in these ones. Super cute. This one is Music Notes. And then some of our other stock. We still have some fun little bees. We have the beards. We have For My Coffee Lovers. We have some of the Lord of the Rings designs, and then just some fun random summary ones. So those are all 35% off. No code needed. Please check those out. When I see that is someone who came from one of my videos, sometimes I throw in extra treats as well, because like I said, I've got a summer closeout sale going on. So please check that out. But otherwise, let's get into these books because we got some good ones to talk about. I'm excited about this week. I'm excited about what's coming up too. The September arcs are already rolling in and I'm like, I just want to catch up on August, but you know what? Never going to catch up. That's just how it goes. So the first book that I finished though was The Marquee Who Mustn't by Courtney Milan. Now this was the Rake Appreciation Society's summer session pick, okay? We had 2 picks. Both Crystal and I picked one. This is my book club with my bookish big sis, Crystal, by the way, who, if you're not following her, who are you to me? No, I'm just kidding. But definitely check her out. She's amazing. She just started her own Patreon. And I'm not going to lie that I love it because even more videos from my bestie is amazing. So definitely check her out. Okay, I'll link her down below just because I can. But we read Tempted by His Kiss, which I read back in July. And then we just finished The Marquee Who Mustn't. And we laughed about it at book club, which I will link up here. We had a 2-hour discussion, basically in almost an hour about each book. And most of the people only read one of the books, which I knew would happen, but we are giving people 3 months. And again, the joke we made is that even having 3 months, we still read, you know, like she read both of the books in the last week. I read the last one. I finished it just a couple days before. because that's just how we are when we have big TBRs. So we are planning to just do, we are planning to continue with the quarterly seasonal thing for a little while. We hope one day to go back to monthly, but I was like, let's just ease into it. We had so much fun. We were like on a high from it, and I was like, we both have a lot of obligations. Let's just start with this and see. But the goal is to get back to monthly, which would be amazing. But anyway, about this book, I don't want to go into too many details. I want you to go watch our discussion, but just in case, to give you a little tease, because the thing is, again, not a lot of people read this one. They mostly picked the other one because there was an audiobook, because I feel like it was a little bit like quicker to catch people than this one was. I am a pretty decent sized fan of Courtney Milan, by the way. I know I don't talk about historical romance as much as I want to lately on this channel. I really want to get back to that. I have quite a few historicals on my TBR for this month. There's at least 2 more I'll be reading this month. So I'm hoping to do another historical video. I'm going on all the tangents today. I also have 2 historical videos kind of like in the percolating that I've just never gotten around to film, because I know they're going to be really large. They have to do with icebergs. If you know what like an internet iceberg is, you'll know I'm a little nervous about how to film this thing. Okay, a little nervous about it, but I'm also excited. So anyway, I love historical. It is my first love when it comes to romance, and that's why this book club is so important to me. But Courtney Milan is one of those that she rubs people, I don't want to say the wrong way, but she can be kind of like a barrier to entry for her books. She's a very slow burn. She's very much the small gestures, the longing, the angst, for sure. And this series, though, in my opinion, is her most approachable. The Wedgford trial starts with the Duke who didn't, which is just lovely. And there is an audiobook for that one, so definitely check that one out. Highly, highly recommend. That's an older woman, younger man. He is, you know, an Asian duke, and there's this small town, and it's a virgin hero as well, and love that. So Jeremy and Chloe are that first book. This one is about Naomi, who wants to be, she doesn't necessarily want to be a doctor, but she wants to take what is called ambulance classes, which in my opinion, well, not my opinion, in my knowledge, it is like a first aid class, basically. She wants to take a first aid course and be of use to her village. And her parents are very reluctant to let her take this, and so she has to go about some subterfuge to take it. Now, the thing that I also loved, and again, I'm trying not to go into too much detail, but you know me. I'm trying to tease you into reading it anyway, without making you go watch a 2-hour video to find out all the reasons. Is that the way that Courtney Milan does her feminism in her books. I don't know another way to say it. I'm just going to say it. She does it in such an approachable way that doesn't go full blue stalking, right? It is literally like women wanting more than what they have and trying to go about it in a respectful way, but running into roadblocks. And I think that is the type that I most like click with, because I sometimes feel the rage. I know I don't talk about it. I feel the rage and unfairness sometimes in a lot of aspects, especially when thinking about like SA and the trauma that women go through. Like, that's where I tend to feel the rage. I don't tend to feel it in workplace areas. I just haven't. I've been very blessed. But I am a modern woman, and I live now. And the way that Naomi, she's not trying for anything crazy. She just wants to learn some first aid, which would be beneficial to her whole town. Like, her whole town would benefit for her taking this, but they're nervous about it. So anyway, like I said, she has to go about some subterfuge, and that's the beginning of this, is her sneaking into town. She's going there for one reason, but she's really planning to sign up for this ambulance class. And when she goes to sign up for it, they're very reluctant to let her sign up for it just because of how it would look. They're being a bit snobbish, but they also are having the same reaction that like her parents had. So it's not that it's not that crazy that they would react that way. And we meet our hero, Kai, who, honestly don't want to go into the whole thing with Kai and why he is the Marquee who mustn't, because that will take us down a whole track that you can watch the video for. But he ends up pretending to be her fiance. But what's even more ironic is that he actually was her betrothed at one point, and technically still is. And I'll leave that as a tease for you. But Kai and Naomi have such a beautiful, slow relationship. They decide to continue this fake engagement. Kai helps her to take these ambulance classes. He actually like goes with her to them, so she's able to do it. Again, you'll find out why if you read the book. And it just is such a slow build. It's so beautiful. And I won't steal her words, but Big Sis had some beautiful things to say about this book. You'll have to watch one of her wrap-ups to know how she felt about it, or go watch the video. But I ended up at a 4.5 star for this one. Really enjoyed it. Now, what actually held me back, this was a 1.5 on the spice scale. Her books are generally not super erotic, at least in this series. They're very low, but like, the romance is high, though. It is good. So if you don't mind some low steam, but you want high chemistry, high tension, this is it for you, for sure. It's beautiful. What held me back just a little was that it was hard to get into this one. I finished this last Sunday, but I started it about 10 days before, and I was just having trouble. And while I was reading it, I was like, oh, I'm bored. I'm a bit bored. I would see these cute things, and I'm like, oh, I love this scenario, but I'm a bit bored. And then it happens. And as soon as it happens where I'm like, oh my God, then I couldn't put it down. Because last Sunday, I was like, was about 50% in, and I was enjoying myself, but I was like, wasn't thinking about it whenever I'd put it down, you know? I would pick it up and I'd read another 10% and whatever. But then you hit the turning point where you see how deeply these two are falling for each other. And I was like, I couldn't look away. And so that last 50% I finished in about 2 hours because I just was locked in. And I took so many notes about it. And what completely won me over and made me forget all about the slow build. Because normally if it takes 50% to get into a book, we're looking at like a 4-star maximum, right? Because I don't normally give books that long. But I remembered as soon as I get there, I'm like, but Jen, this is what Courtney Milan does. And I've said at the beginning of this long ramble, I'm a big fan of Courtney Milan. I've read 6 or 7 of her books. I actually haven't read some of her most popular ones. I've read some of the, like, because there's like the Duchess War is like the one that like everybody has. I've read some from her Turner series. I read her actually very first release. We did that for book club way back when, and I really enjoyed everything, but I forget how she drags this into it until you're so deep in, you're up to your neck in this beautiful thing. So I said I wouldn't gush on. No one's surprised, but go check out the video if you're intrigued, because I know that if you watch the comments while you watch the video, you'll see that only one person besides us finished this book. There's people still reading it, or people who hadn't, or people who DNF'd it. And through Crystal and I, like, talking through our feelings, multiple of our viewers, our book club members, were like, you know what, I'm going to keep going, or I'm going to try it again. What you said, I'm going to look for it. And that's the beauty of book club, in my opinion, is that if you both don't like it, you can commiserate. If one person likes it, you can try to like convince the other person. And if not, it's still entertaining. And you'll be able to see when you watch this book club, no matter what, the joy that Crystal and I have being able to talk about historical romance together. Like, look how big my smile is now. You can't fake this. Just getting to talk with a human that I adore so much about something we both love. The thing that brought us together, in all honesty, was amazing. I'm still reminiscing because to make the video, I went back and watched our very first live chat, and we hardly knew each other then. It was literally 4 years ago. Come November, it was 4 years ago that we first did book club. We'd only really been talking for maybe like 6 months before that, and it was very surface level. And so I am so deeply thankful for this book club and for Crystal, again, as a human. I don't know if I'd still be doing what I was doing without her and friends like her, because it's tough out there. So 15-minute gush about that. I think you should read this book. I really do. I'll have a link to it down below. I'll have a link to the book club. I'll have a link to Crystal's channel. If you're one of our historical lovers, definitely join on for this. At the end of that video and on our Instagram, we have the next 2 books announced. I'll save that for a different video, but we do have the next 2 books picked out. Book club date isn't set in stone yet, because that's the way we're doing it with the session. We're not pushing ourselves with that, but it will be before Thanksgiving, so it'll be the beginning of November. So you'll have about 2 months. So go check that out. The next 2 books are both of them are authors neither of us have read at all. So There we go. Okay, woo! 15 minutes in. Let's go on to another wonderful book. There was The Boyfriend Goal by Jennifer Blakely. Ooh, 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 ooh. This one just came out. I actually received an ALC of it, though. I have received ARCs and PR from Lauren Blakely before. She is an extremely prolific author. She has hundreds of books, all of them in audio. She has some audio exclusives. You can get some of her stuff on Audible Plus if you want. And I've enjoyed some of her stuff through the years. She's one of those authors that I get a little bit of a nibble and I enjoy myself, and then I'm like satiated for a while, is the way I would explain it. You know, I think it was 2 years ago, she had a series coming out that I gobbled up. It was an age gap series. I read all the ones in that. And once in a while I'll read. She has some good romance. Lately she's been before this hockey series, she did a Why Choose Hockey series. Now, I wasn't a huge fan of the ones I read because they were all MFM, the ones I read. I didn't read any of the ones that was MMF. I read 2 MFM ones. And you know, that's not my favorite. I don't like if we're just like never all being together. But I like her writing. It's very approachable. It's funny. She's fun. And I was seeing all the PR for The Boyfriend Goal because it's a new series she started, and I'm a sucker for it. So I signed up because I was hoping to get one of the paperbacks. You know me, I'm a collector. They were so cute. Some of the authors, well, by some I mean I've seen her do it and I've seen Catherine Cowles do it. They've been doing like trope specific arcs and they're gorgeous, okay? And again, as a collector, I want to get my grubby little hands on them, so I signed up. I didn't get picked for a paperback, but I got picked for an audiobook, and to me, that was exciting as well, because hers are done in duet style most of the time. So, this one was performed in duet by Aaron Mallon and Connor Craze. I love Connor Craze's voice, and this was a one-night stand that turned out to be a teammate's little sister and then turns into a roommate situation. And guys, I was enamored with this one. This smile I have on right now that, I mean, hasn't left my face this whole video. I was smiling so much when I read this. I was listening to this one while I worked on BookBox stuff. I'll show you a little peek of something in here just because it's fun. I was making a couple different things. One of them were these cute bookmarks, okay, that are in my book boxes for my patrons. And I was working on these while I was listening to this. I was working on these while working on some of the sewing projects that I did. And I just had a blast. So this one, we have Josie and Wes, and as I said, they have a one-night stand. First, Wes kind of rescues her from a sticky situation. She gets locked out of her friend's apartment. She's going to be getting a short-term rental, but she's staying with her friend until that small-town rental, or short-term, they're not in a small town, they're in a big town. The short-term rental opens up. She accidentally gets locked out of the apartment, and her friend hadn't given her the code yet to get in, so she has to track down her friend, who is an artist. Now when she goes to the gallery that her friend is going to be at, the person at the door won't let her in because she's wearing her pajamas, and this is a high class thing. And she's like, I'm telling you, I just need to talk to my friend, she's one of the artists here, please, please, please. The woman won't let her in. Well, our hero walks up. Turns out the woman at this front door is his dad's girlfriend, who he doesn't really like. So he pretends to be Josie's date so that he can get her in. And he helps her out. And she's like, you are my Prince Charming. Like, thank you so much. And so she sticks around the gallery with him a little bit so they can play up the fact that that they are there on a date, right? He's doing it a little bit to like get at his dad's girlfriend because again, she's a bit stuck up. He doesn't really like her. He's only going to this gallery because his dad encouraged him to. And when they leave, they end up continuing to spend some time together, and it leads to a one-night stand. Now, Josie doesn't normally do a one-night stand. I mean, of course, it wouldn't matter if she did, but the reason why it matters in this case is that she's been left a bucket list of sorts by her late aunt. And she adored her aunt, and her aunt left her this list of 10 things that she never regretted doing, and Josie is doing them as a bucket list. And number 1 on the list is to have a one-night stand with a nice stranger, and that is Wes to her, is this nice stranger. So they have a one-night stand. They go to a hotel for it. She doesn't recognize him, and he doesn't say his full name to her, and she doesn't say hers to him, right? They have this one night stand, and it's great. She leaves her scarf behind in the hotel, But so she left it behind at the hotel, and the next day when she leaves him a note saying like, this was a great time, but she's leaving. And he finds her scarf, and he's like, he knows where she lives because he had stopped by the apartment with her to make sure she could get back into it and everything. And he's planning to bring the scarf and ask her for a date. He's like, I know this was a one night stand, but like, this girl, like the way, and they connected. Like, again, this starts with a one night stand, but they have a great night. It was so fun. They connect on all these things. Well, she finds out her, again, I know I'm doing the Jenn thing where I explain so much of this. This is the first 3 chapters of the book. You know how it is. It's a setup. I'm intriguing you into the story, okay? Because you've read a million one night stands, right? We all have. So anyway, her short-term rental falls through. So she calls her brother in a panic, and her brother, who has just had twin babies, him and his wife have, that's why she's not staying with her brother right now, because 2 new babies wouldn't be helpful. And he puts out the call to his teammates, who, yes, he is the hockey captain, and he asks his teammates, hey, my sister needs a short-term rental. She's here for 3 months. She's doing this grant at a library program. She needs a place to stay. And he's literally like, I trust all of you with my sister, and also I know y'all have big houses, and you could put my sister up for 3 months. Wes, who A, is a genuinely good guy, B, has a large house with a room under the stairs that is basically like a library, even with a bed in it, right? We're liking it. And 3, does want to get on the good side of his captain because he has only been on this team for a year. He wants to be asked to stay. So all 3 things lead him to say yes. And when Josie comes to the rink for her brother to introduce her to her new landlord, there we go. And the fact that they both wanted to see each other again, the fact that he had her scarf and was going to bring it to her house, the fact that she went back to the gallery and tried to find him because she wanted to learn his last name, all of that just kind of goes up in smoke. And they're like, well, you're going to move into my house. I'm happy to have you. But now it's a no-touch rule. But what they do have, as I said, is this amazing connection. Like, they sure are trying to rope back in their feelings, but they do have a genuine, like, friendship that started from that one night stand. That's why they wanted to see each other again. And she shares with him her list. And there's a lot of things on the list that they can do as friends. And that's what they start doing. So that is the setup of this one. And I adored it. I gave this 5 stars. Honestly, it was almost a 6-star read, especially for how the third act conflict of this is handled. Because it's not a third act breakup. It has a third act conflict that I thought was very real and was handled in a lovely way. So this had me so excited. I signed up for the next arc as well, which, because it's Lauren Blakely, is already coming in October. In fact, I mentioned it in my anticipated reads video, which you can check out if you want to pre-order some reads to help out authors as well as help me out. You can check that out. But I gave this 5 stars. There was some great things. There are some sexy things she wants to experiment with, and he's more than happy to help her. Things she's learned in books. We also, I forgot to write this, the hero has dyslexia. So this has dyslexia rep in it, which I found very interesting how that was handled in here, because she is a librarian and she's like nervous, or he's nervous for her to find that out. But there's some great stuff done with audiobooks in here, which I thought was just a very good way to do it, since I was listening to an audiobook and Lauren Blakely is so passionate about them. I mean, she produces them, for goodness sakes. I just thought that was really beautiful. And I know a lot of my viewers have dyslexia or have seen it in action. And in fact, I am working on a dyslexia recommendation video, by the way. So if you know some good ones, let me know. I already have, there's a fantasy I read recently that the heroine had dyslexia. There are plenty of romances that it's in there, but as always, I want to compile them in one place. So 30 minutes in, Jen. 30 minutes in. But that's okay, because we have some repeats now. Sorry. The only trigger warning was the death of that aunt. So just know that in that one. But yeah. Next, I reread Wed to the Lich, which, yes, I did reread in July as well to annotate. There was someone else who also picked to have this annotated, and I did the silly Jen thing, not thinking things through. and I didn't transfer my annotation. So if you're one of the people who gets an annotated book from me, or you do a pre-order with me, which by the way, that will be going up the beginning of September so that I can make the next tax payment. You guys know that's how I roll with that. But someone had picked this one, and I hadn't transferred my notes from the book that I already did into my own book, because I was like, no one else will pick this one, even though I put this book on a list of books I'd be willing to annotate. So boing, that just meant I had to reread it. Now this book is only 200 pages. It only took me like an hour. But anyway, I reread it again, so I'm not really going to talk about it. You can just go back to July to see my thoughts on that. I'll link the playlist. That's all of my wrap-ups of this year. So check that out. But this is a 4.5 star for me. It's an arranged monster mate. The main heroine does struggle with anorexia nervosa, and it is kind of a main plot of this, so be wise with that. I found it extremely beautiful because we have Virgil, who is a Lich, and he's basically like a death god, and he is fueled by taking energy from others, and he sees himself as someone who's like evil and icky about this. Now our heroine May, she struggles with consuming food to give herself energy to help herself live, so they both have kind of a similar thing in very different ways. So anyway, 4.5 star for me, 3 on the spice scale. Monster dick. As I said, trigger warnings for anorexia. There's also death of an animal in kind of a tragic way in this one. So be prepared. The more you know. All right, then we had Keepsake by Amy Oliveira. So this book is already out. And the audiobook is now out as well. But the Must Love Audio, we were given a gift. They had some extra codes for this one. And this was a new to me author. And you guys know I am all about hunting down the new to me authors this year. And especially when I have the option for an audiobook. So this book was just full of new to me things in it. So first off, it was narrated by Vanessa Vasquez and Noah B. Perez. I believe I've listened to Vanessa before, but I have not heard Noah before. And if you get a clip of Noah talking dirty to you in Spanish, okay, this was amazing. But this book is a tough one. This is about Logan, who is a very successful businesswoman. She is wealthy. She was from a wealthy family. She's wealthy, but she went to school with this woman named Sophia. They both went to the same school because Sophia's family, who are Cuban immigrants, they actually lived like right on the edge of this school district. So this poor family was able to send their daughter to this school there. And Logan and Sophia were friends. And they fell away from each other after college, or after high school, because Sophia was in a controlling and abusive marriage. She had a baby with her boyfriend in high school. So one of her kids she had him when I think she was like 16. I can't remember, but it was young. And then she was with this man. They never got married, but they have 3 kids together. And at the beginning of this book, we are at Sophia's funeral because Sophia has unalived herself. And she left guardianship not to her boyfriend, which of course, because he was an abusive dickhead, not to her parents, and not to her older brother. She left guardianship of those kids to Logan. And I won't get into all of the details of that. Obviously, that goes with the story. But part of the mystery as the reader is you're like, why? Like, why does she pick? Because again, they have not been close much. They had picked up like an email and text and call conversation in the past few years again. But Logan honestly is a bit shocked that she's given these kids. Now, she doesn't hesitate. In fact, she is completely over the top in to help with this. But the mother, so the grandmother of kids, Sophia's mother, is just like, this chica, this wealthy chica is not taking my grandkids away. She's not family. She's not going to raise them right. She's just going to use all her money and do all these things. And she is very against it. Then we have Alvaro, who he is, I believe he's like 14 years older than Sophia and Logan were. So he is in his late 40s, actually. I think he's 46, 47. So maybe not late, mid 40s, whatever. And she is, I believe, like 31, 32, something like that. She's very young compared to him, I guess. Whatever I'm saying, okay? I'm 31, so I don't think that that's that young or that old. We're right where we're supposed to be. But he can kind of see why Sophia did this, and he is on her side to help. But Logan is very nervous about this. She has all the court backing that there could be, because Sophia, she may have been not willing to stand up for herself while she was going through what she went through, but she made sure that Logan would have those kids. And she went through a lot to make sure that that would happen, okay? Literally went through a lot so she could have those kids. And when Logan meets with the kid, she actually talks with the oldest kid, which is a boy, who again was the like teen pregnancy that kind of first like locked Sophia in with this horrible man she was with. He wants to live with Logan. Very oddly wants to live with Logan, and he's like, me and my siblings will live with you, because it's boy, girl, boy. There's that 15-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 3-year-old. Okay, so big age range, right? All needing different things, and she has this big penthouse. They can all live there, and the oldest kid is like, we're gonna live with you. Now, he very candidly tells Logan eventually, like, I want to live with you because I don't want my grandma to be in control, and when I'm 18, I'm going to I want my siblings with me. I'm going to take care of them. And Logan is kind of like, but she goes along with it because she does want to provide for them and do what she can. Now, the grandma, who again does not have a leg to stand on, she really doesn't. She could try to go to court to say she's the better thing, but her daughter's wishes were for her to have it. Logan has the money, Logan has the power. Would she use it to squash Sophia's family? Probably not. But Alvaro, again, the older brother, is like, Mama, we don't want to play with that, because we might be able to fight it out, but we'd lose everything, and she might still win anyway. And this is what Sophia wants, and she's willing to do all these things. Like, again, I won't go into all of it because they're really beautiful revelations, but Logan, this isn't a light thing for her. She's not just planning to throw money at it and provide for them that way. Okay, this woman cares so deeply, and that's what made this book work for me. Now, a little bit about Alvaro, and then we'll move along. He is an ex-MMA fighter, so we're led to believe in the beginning. He was called El Toro at the time, and that really like distanced him from his family because his parents didn't love that he was a fighter, but that's what he wanted to do. Now he owns a construction company with a partner, and that's what he does. But again, like I said, he does still fight, and we get into that in it. And the grandma like agrees to this. Again, she has her pride, and she's pretending that she's letting this happen, as long as Alvaro also moves in with the kids and with Logan, because she has a big enough house for it. And he's like, I want to make sure that they're around family, and so if she's taking them, you're moving in too. And Alvaro's like, Mama, I have a business, I have life. And she's like, you can't stay there and then drive to work every day? No, you're going to move in. So that makes this a forced proximity, roommates, co-guardianing, grazing these kids. And it's a slow burn, forbidden romance between the two of them. Very angsty, lots of pain we're going to go through. This book reminded me of Unbreak My Heart, is kind of what I'm making, with not quite the same level of angst. There's also no surprise baby going to happen between the two of them, but that like raising the kids and kind of the ghost of the person who died is in the background, and also it's like forbidden for different reasons. So if you liked Unbreak My Heart, but you maybe don't want to be wrecked quite the same way, maybe read this. The audiobook, as I said, was so good. I will definitely be looking up this Noah guy. Again, he had this raspy, like, he sounded like a haggard, older Latino man, and you just were like, I was enthralled with him, okay? Like, so good. It was so good. So I gave this one 4.5 stars. The ending to this one was a little strange, but it wasn't like it was bad. I was just kind of like, where it went in a suspense way. I'll just say that, which, I don't know how I felt about it, but I gave it 4.5 stars. It was a 3 on the spice scale. It was beautiful. I teared up a couple times, but again, it also wasn't like tearjerker, like sob level, because I don't want to get in and spoil it, but there was something about it. Yeah, it tugged at me, but I was also like, wow, life is tough, man. Like that kind of thing. I don't know. So, but there are a lot of trigger warnings for this one, right? There is the mention of suicide. There's domestic abuse, child abandonment, loss of a family member, infertility, anger management issues, violence, and blackmail. Like, whoo! Lots of stuff in here. So, yeah. Moving along. Then there was The History Between Us by Ashley James, another new to me author. I believe this is technically Copper Lake number 4. The author does not have it listed as number 4 anywhere. Not on Amazon, not on Goodreads, not on her page, but it has the same font and is in the same town as the first 3 books in Copper Lake. So I don't know if she's just labeling it something else so that like new people will start with it. I don't know. I mean, that is what happened with me, but to me it was very clear because all the other books say it takes place in Copper Lake. So anyway, that just was an irritation as someone who's a reviewer, is I was like, why are you trying to bury the lead? Like, don't you want other people to find the other books? I don't know. But yeah, Copper Lake, book number 4. But I started with this one because this is an age gap, cowboy and a doctor, dad's best friend. Like, I saw all these tropes. I got this from the author agency and I saw all these tropes and I was like, gimme. So I signed up for this one and I mostly liked it a good amount. I'll tell you a couple things that I didn't love. But this one started as a one-night stand. They're actually both out of town. He had left so they're both he's. So let me explain. There's William, who is the doctor. He is in his are we in late 40s? I don't know where we are, but it's the same age as Colt's dad. Colt is a bull rider. He is a sexy beast, and in the beginning, they are both, as I said, out of town. So the town where William is doctoring, Colt happens to be going through. They meet at a bar. They hook up. It's sexy as hell. 2 years later, William has moved back to Copper Lake. He's taking over his father's practice. His father is now the retired doctor in the town. And by the way, his dad is awesome. His dad is alive and well and kicking through this whole thing. He is a little matchmaker. He adopts a puppy at one point in this book. It's great. Love Roger, the dad of William, was wonderful. But Colt needs to go to the doctor because he actually hurt his shoulder at work doing his thing, bull riding, and he needs to see the doctor. Now he goes in to see him, and he's expecting William's dad, who's been the town doctor so long, and William's there. And this is like the first time they've seen each other since they hooked up. William is like, oh damn. Yep, I knew I was going to see him, but like, oh damn, because this is my best friend's son, and I might have had a moment of weakness when we were drinking and we were out of town, but nothing can happen here. And he's very uptight about it, and he very much is pushing Colt away, and Colt is a little shit stirrer. And he's like, I don't think anyone's going to hate this as much as you think. Like, I think it'd be better if people knew right away and it wasn't a surprise. And I mean, we're not saying Colt isn't right. So this becomes a lot of it's a sneaking around. It's mostly forbidden because they decide that it is type of thing. It also got very boring very quickly, and it's only 300 pages. But once the scenario's set up, the only tension in this one, because there's honestly no one else in town are they worried about, well, except for the fact that he's his doctor. But very quickly he assigns a different doctor to handle his stuff, so he's not even his direct doctor anymore. The only person they're worried about is Colt's dad, which again, that's generally what happens when it's best friend's dad or dad's best friend, or ex's dad. Of course we're worried about the person that is the in-between, right? The best friend or the dad or the whatever. But he's a very reasonable man, and the only tension in it is he's going to catch us. And they have a secret relationship for a long time. We skip through a lot of time in this book, and it just was neither of you is in the closet, because that's also the thing. Neither of them is it secret what their sexuality is. And so many people know. So it was just one of those where it was this could have been a novella and had the same amount of tension and all of those things. And it just drug it out and had William resisting it for so long for no reason. And so it was just one of those that this was great. I didn't actively dislike anything, but this one took me 4 days to read. It was only 300 pages. And it was just one roadblock the whole time. That was it. And I just don't really care for books like that. So I rounded up to 4 stars with this one. It was a 3 on the spice scale. Yep, there was some good hot stuff. William was the kind of dominant one the whole time, which I guess was hot to see the cowboy get like thrown around a lot. It was sexy. But it also, like I said, after 2 sexual encounters, like all of that's the same. And I just was bored. I just got bored. So there we go. I literally wrote, I was like, everything was just super repetitive. So, okay, next up, we do have a quick one for once in my goodness life. I reread Embers by Claire Kent. I'm rereading this series and annotating it for one of my patrons. I can't wait to have the whole series done. Beacon comes out in October. Oh my gosh. So yeah, reread this one. This one is an age gap. This one is a dead boyfriend's dad. He's not even, like, it would fit in the, like, ex-boyfriend's dad category, but, like, the boyfriend dies in the beginning. That is what it is. So that's really the only trigger warning in this one too, is that her boyfriend and her have been surviving. They'd been with his mom. The mom died. The boyfriend has the like hacking cough that was left by the, you know, the meteor that hit. We're in an apocalypse situation. All that's happening. And they need to get out of town because it's not safe. They're basically teenagers. They're like 18-year-olds. And Cal, being the dad, he is a redneck. He's like an ex-biker. He's an ex-criminal. It's very clear to see, and that's why he hadn't been with the boyfriend's mom, because she was a good girl, had this one night stand with him, had the baby. He wasn't asked to be involved at all, and so he just kind of accepted it because he didn't think he was good enough, blah, 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 all that stuff. And he comes to town to get them and ends up rescuing them from getting like killed and from Rachel getting murdered, and they move in with him. In the beginning, she absolutely like hates him, thinks he's grumpy and mean and like all these things, but very soon the boyfriend dies, and now it's just the two of them for years. So it's a slow burn, even though the way that Claire Kent does things, she like, there's a chapter that is 1 year after impact, and then we're at 2 years, 3 years, like it goes pretty quickly. And also, if you've read Haven and Princess, like you've seen these characters show up. This one actually had a good look at Mac and Anna. I'm loving rereading this and tracking Mac and Anna's story, because in this one it even tells us that Mac and Anna hook up whenever they run into each other. Totally forgot about that part. I thought it was just a pining relationship, but no, they used to hook up. And Anna actually joins the roaming band of women. There's a woman that started a group that saves women from situations, right? Because there are plenty of those where women are staying with men just so that they don't get raped and murdered by other men. And this group, they rescue people from it. Now, Anna joins this group during this one, and Rachel actually spends some time with them too. So this one, in my opinion, is the angstiest one in the series, because generally Claire Kent, she does some angst, but it's usually the type of angst of like, do you love me? Do you not? Are you with me because of the scenario? Do you not? Which I love, because it makes for just, I don't know, this beautiful awkwardness, right? But in this one, Cal is actively like kind of hates himself. So it's a lot. But I don't want to say it's not my least favorite in the series, but also it's the most unlike all the other ones. And this book it's not even 300 pages. And you're like, Cal, get your giant head out of your asshole and realize this woman loves you. But he just has a lot of guilt, right? His son's dead. He wants this girl. He feels gross about it. It's a thing. But that one's 4 stars, 2.5 on the spice scale. Violence, attempted essay. It's the end of the world. And I put, it is angsty as hell. So there you go. Alrighty. Just 3 more left. And these were all ARCs or ALCs. So I got to listen to The Heartbreaker, which comes out on the 30th, which I believe the 30th is Thursday. I don't know. It's Thursday or Friday. And this is I just talked about Claire Kent. Sarah Kate's next book in the Good Brothers series. So you guys know, if you've been watching my weekly wrap-ups, last month I did reread the Anti-Hero and the Homewrecker, which were about Adam and Sage in the first one. And then we have Briar, Caleb, and Dean in the second one. This third one is about Sadie, who she manages the club. She was actually hired by the loser ex in the first book, but she helps run the club with Sage and Sadie. I didn't think about that. And Sadie, at the beginning of this book, has a one-night stand with a kind of like, we'll call him an OnlyFans model who comes to check out the club, and they're trying to convince him to maybe film some content there to help promote the club, right? If they get him to. But him and Sadie have a one-night stand. He doesn't put on a condom. And I mean, it's not all his fault, but he just is like, girl, you're on the pill, right? He just kind of takes it. Not in an assaulty way, but if you read it, you'll see, like, she kind of let the moment get away from her. But we wouldn't have a not his baby if he didn't. So there we go. So he gets her pregnant. At the same time of this, Lucas, who is Caleb's twin, he is a professor there. He is planning to just be in Austin for a short amount of time. He hates Austin, doesn't like being around his family really, except for Caleb and Isaac. We find out some interesting things about Luke and Isaac in this one. That's all I'll say. But it makes sense when you think about it, because we're slowly getting more and more info about Isaac, because book 4, coming not till April of next year, is going to be Isaac's book, which is The Prodigal. So we're getting all these little peeks at what's been going on, right? And Luke has some stuff to do with it. But anyway, he's an English professor. And we have Sadie, who she is taking his class now. She's just started it because she's trying to get her business degree so that she can hopefully run her own club one day, but just become better also at running their club, right? So she starts his class. She's late the first day. He definitely notices her. He also knows who she is because he's seen her at like get-togethers with like that Sage and Adam have had, like she's been invited to. So he knows who she is. So he's like, oh my gosh, she's in this class. He's a very uptight, precise professor. But immediately she really she loves English. She's one of his best students. And he notices she's a bit frazzled. And eventually, as we get just a couple weeks in, she actually goes to class. She doesn't hear her alarm, shows up to class late, and actually throws up in the garbage bin in front of him. Doesn't think that she's pregnant. It's only been like a month, right? But she's not sure that she's pregnant. And she throws up in front of him, and he kind of helps her out. He says some stern things to her that she's kind of like, fuck off, you know, like whatever. And she's like, I can't be pregnant. I must be sick. And he's kind of helping her, but being very grumpy about it too. Well, when she finds out she's pregnant, she then, the next time she runs into him, she ends up blurting out everything that she found out about. And he ends up making a very strange, like, request. He's like, I really like the talent that you have. I want you to do well with this. I also think that you need a little bit of help with life, which is a bit blunt of him to say, but he asks her to move in with him because he has an empty bedroom. And he's like, I could help you. And basically what he ends up proposing is like a dom sub, a non-sexual scenario. He's never experimented with that before, but they both do like slight looking into it. And he's like, I could give you rules and there can be punishments and like to help you get on track and like stay on track. So that is how this one starts out, is they have this like, she's going to live with him. So it's a roommate scenario. It's not his baby. She's pregnant throughout this. And also, like, they do this dom sub where he's helping her in that way. So, yeah, loved this. Of course, this was a duet narration. The audiobook will drop the same day as it. It's Jason Clarke and CJ Bloom, a great pairing. Love, love, love. And I enjoyed this so much. Like, this was a 5-star. It's a 3.5 on the spice scale. There was a few things that, like, I still like the homewrecker the best. So that's what I'll say. I like the homewrecker the best. And then I would tie this one with the anti-hero. Now, all of those are 5 stars to me. None of them has quite been a 6-star book. But if I were to rank them, I still like the homewrecker the best. But that's because I like the dynamics and the emotional stuff in that one so well, especially after just rereading it, right? But this is still like so good because Sarah Kate, the way that she does kink and the way that like dynamics and like mental health and also like their trauma, like Lucas, he has honestly kind of the most interesting non-relationship with Truett of all of them. Like all the other brothers have a more, you know, Anyway, the flashback for Lucas I thought was interesting because we only had one that I could tell. There was one, maybe two. Maybe I missed one because, again, I was listening to this while I was doing stuff like with the other audiobooks this week. So maybe I missed it. But in the other two, there was a lot of flashbacks, actually. There was a good amount of flashbacks, particularly in book 2, because we're getting Caleb and Briar's love story in the past as well. And I'm not a huge fan of flashbacks, but there is a very powerful flashback at the beginning of this one that really sets up what Lucas's relationship is with his dad. And I think that's probably why there's not many flashbacks. Is there's a flashback for Sadie that she explains to Luke. So there's that one. But Lucas, again, didn't have much to do with his family or his dad at all. So we don't need those flashbacks to see what Truett was doing, because we stayed away from him, right? Okay. Anyway, yeah. 5-star for me. I don't have tons of complaints because she balances her stories very well. This one, I will say, I'll tell you, it does have a third act breakup. Very needed. And the third act breakup actually happens not in the middle of the book, but like the beginning of the third act thing. So we have lots of resolve after it, which felt really good, right? So that's why I want to say, like, this one does have, but it's more like end of second act breakup, and it needed to happen. So there we go. That's what I'll say about that as like a kind of spoiler, not really, because I like to know about those things. But what I want to say is that we have a lot of time to fix things. So also, I know people will ask, because I ask, we do not get the baby till the very end of this one. This is a pregnancy one. This isn't a like new mom one. But it does have a pretty like good chunk about the birth, and it is a like not a traumatic birth, but like a, you know, not everyone's experience, because everyone's is different. So, trigger warnings for this one. Well, first we have the spicy stuff, okay? This one, it didn't get too crazy. She was pregnant for most of this, but there's impact play near the beginning. There's bratting, there's toys, public play, punishments, and lots of good girl. And of course, that dom-sub dynamic that we have going on. The trigger warnings for this one, Sarah Kate has a full like page written of this in the book, just so you know. But there is on-page child abuse. So like it is past, but like that's one of the flashbacks, is that child abuse. Homophobia, SA, and rape, that was off-page, past. Pregnancy through the whole stages, childbirth, and then also, this might be like, there is BDSM while she's pregnant, which I think I've kind of said. So, wonderful. Get the audiobook if you have a credit for it. Okay, now we have the one that I really like. I can't talk about it. Like, I can tell you that I read it and what it is, but I can't, like, I'm not going to say anything because it doesn't come out till February. I wouldn't have even read it this soon, except I got to do a little bit of, like, I got to help out with it a little bit. So, I read A Rebel Without Claws by Juliet Cross, and I'll put the cover in because of two reasons. One, this cover hasn't been, like, officially revealed, so it might be a little bit different than this one, but this is available on Edelweiss. I know not everyone uses Edelweiss. It's weird to get set up with them. Okay, so don't ask me for a tutorial on it. I got started with Edelweiss like 5 years ago. It is my least used place to get ARCs because, again, it's very complicated how to get them, but I do know how to do it when I need to. And I saw Rebel Without Claws pop up, and I was like, holy shit, I need it. I mean, obviously I knew Juliet would give me an ARC, but the ARCs are being done through her publisher for this one, because this book will be from the publisher from Union Square in February of next year. So the ARCs are available. So if you have Edelweiss or you want to figure out how to get on there, you can go sign up for this one. So I had told Juliet, I was like, look, I have the ARC already. Oh my God. And she's like, that's not the final cover. So I don't know if this is the final cover, but they put a cover out, and I guess it's not fully decided. So there's a little peek behind the curtain about how stuff goes. I won't talk anymore about that. That's just straight up with no, like, she literally was like, please don't share the cover everywhere because it's not out. But it's getting released on Tuesday, so I'm going to put it in here so you can see it, because by the time some people watch this, it'll be there. And it might be different, so then I could be wrong, but I'm going to put it up here. So I have the ARC of this. Now, again, it doesn't come out till February, so even though I'm obsessed with Stay a Spell, which if you don't know is one of my favorite series that I have. I love it so much. It starts with Wolf Gone Wild. Actually, I have it here because I was taking photos of this. So, Wolf Gone Wild. And this book, A Rebel Without Claws, is about Celine, which is one of Mateo and Evie's triplets. So, you have until February, you could read one book a month and still be done on time to read the Stay a Spell series, because she's doing a second gen that is called Southern Charm. So, this is about Celine and Ronan. Ronan is basically a wolfish MMA fighter. He's a werewolf. He's a werewolf, a rebel without claws. He does not have access to his wolf. Now, I know, you're saying, that sounds a lot like Wolf Gone Wild. Well, no, because Mateo and Alpha very much are in tune with each other. Alpha, the wolf, just isn't able to come out. Ronan's wolf is silent. It's not just a fact of not shifting. It's that, you know, he doesn't have an alpha or his wolf in his head, like, talking away, right? So I won't tell you how, duh, it doesn't come out till February. I'm sure we'll talk about it more when we get closer. But I normally wouldn't read it this early. But Juliet reached out to me and asked for a little favor having to do with her book, which I, again, not going to tell you about it. My patrons might be able to put it together because I told them about a project I was working on for an author. Well, if you've seen that vlog, patrons, this is who the favor was for. Just so you know. So I read this super early. I won't say any more than that. I will tell you what I'll tell you. I rate all of Juliet's books at least a 5-star, not because of any like obligation to her, which whatever. People believe what they believe. You might believe I'm full of shit for that, but whatever. I just genuinely enjoy what she writes. And she is also my friend, and I'm someone who owns my biases. She is my friend. Her niece is one of my best friends. I don't read words from her that like make me upset. So in that case, I just sit at a 5-star with them. If I had a problem with one of her books, we would nitpick it here. I promise you. There are a few things about this book that maybe we'll talk more about when it gets closer. But in general, I love this. It's a fated mate story. It's a, you know, bad boy, good girl situation. Also, I'll say this, Ronan is not Nico, but Shane's nephew, okay? If you've read Witches Get Stitches, which is Nico and Violet's book, you'll know who Shane is and why we know him and everything. And Shane has taken in his nephew for reasons, and so we know him. We're all good with Shane now, by the way. If you read Witches Get Stitches, Shane almost gets himself in some trouble in that one, but Ronan is Shane's nephew. So this was adorable. It was fun. It was spicy. It was heartfelt. And again, the smile that enters my face is just always there. So definitely pre-order that. Again, the true cover reveal, we'll see if it's this one I popped in or if it's tweaked a little bit, will be released on Tuesday. That's actually why, like I said, why I have Wolf Gone Wild here, because I was taking photos so that I can do a cover announcement for it. Just a little behind the scenes. Okay, at 1 hour in, I still have one more book to talk about. And that was Craving Chaos by Jill Ramsauer. So this book is already out. It came out in January, but the ALCs were available with Valentine PR. This audiobook is now already out. And I grabbed this one because, well, I get the emails from, you know, Valentine PR for what audiobooks they have available. And I have read one Jill Ramsauer before. Okay, I own a couple because I actually met her at Wanderlust book signing and I bought a couple Mafia books from her, but I haven't gotten around to more of them just because life, right? But this one is a spin-off from one of her others that I read. The Byrne Brothers book 1 is the one I read, and this one is the first in a duet. It didn't have a cliffhanger though, like it's going to be about different couples, a duet about different couples. But this first one was about Shay, who is a part of the Irish family. She is a bisexual woman. She helps teach fighting at their gym. She's a badass, okay? She is given a lot of responsibility. She's had to fight for a lot of it. So she is a tough bitch, like the type that she wears heels because they're weapons. She wears dresses because she can hide her weapons better. Like, that's who she is. In the beginning of this, she has a friends with benefit who's a woman. So like I said, we see bi rep on page. She's hot for whoever ticks her boxes type of thing, right? Then we have Renzo, aka Ren, who is with the Italians, and the Irish, they have a deal going on in the beginning. And Renzo and Shay are the two, like, they meet to deal with this, like, weapons shipment, and something goes wrong with it. They don't get in a fight over it. It's a genuine, like, mistake kind of thing, but they do have kind of some tension there, and it leads Renzo to be, like, super into her, and she's kind of like, ugh, what an annoying, I mean, he was sexy, but, like, ew, gross type of thing. Not ew, gross, but, like, I don't have time for this shit. Well, then a couple days later, they meet up again to fix this issue. Now, both of them could have sent lower down people now, but they both go because they both were intrigued by each other. So they go and they get ambushed. Both of them get ambushed. And they are about to, like, be killed, but instead the goons kidnap them because of some swift talking from Renzo. He's like, you have two, like, important people in the mafia. If you kill us, you've started a war. If you kidnap and ransom us, you could be wealthy people. So he's able to kind of sweet talk them, or, like, talk sense to them. And they appear to be Russian, Albanian. They can't figure out quite who they are, but they get kidnapped, taken in this plane, and they're being, like, flown somewhere. Based on, like, where they end up, I feel like they were maybe taking them towards, like, a European country up north or something like that. That's what I would kind of guess. I don't know. But they end up breaking free, killing the men, and then crashing the plane in the wilderness. So this is a mafia survival story. Okay? It's a plane crash survival story in the wilderness, hunting, fishing, keeping each other warm. It's everything I love. Y'all know I love survival stories, and I love mafia, and these two are combined together. So they end up finding a hunting cabin that has some stores in it. Like, it has, you know, the fireplace, it has some wood already cut. It's very clear that's what it was, as someone's part-time hunting cabin. But it only has some cans of beans and, like, mandarin oranges. And neither of them are campers. They're both city people, you know, but they are natural hunters and tough people, so they're going to figure out what to do. So yeah, this was great. I listened to the audio, as I said. This is already out. You can go grab the ebook or the audiobook, and it was narrated by Kelsey Navarro Foster and Aiden Snow. Love both of them. And yeah, this is like enemies to lovers type of thing. They are forced in proximity. And yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I did end up giving it 4 stars because it was, like, pretty cheesy in some places, I won't lie. And then stuff that happened once they got home was just a little too, like, wrap it all up. But I was really endeared to both of their families. There is also part of the reason they have an alliance is that his cousin is marrying her brother. So that's why, like, they had started to work together and were willing to, you know, deal with that stuff because their families were already going to be entwined through marriage and everything. But yeah, I enjoyed myself. It just got a little bit cheesy. It wasn't perfect, but I definitely would recommend this one in a survival one. I'll recommend it in also kind of like she's an alpha female for sure, but she was written in a way where, like, it made sense, you know. She's had to fight for all of the respect that she has, and so then to be kidnapped like a damsel in distress, she's just pissed that happened to her and all these things. And then both of them kind of, like, trying their best to protect each other, and while they're trapped in that room, you know, things are gonna heat up, and she's very aware that, like, I like this guy, I can't be with him when we get home, so I need to keep him at a distance now. And Renzo he wants no part of being kept at a distance. So yeah, I ended up with 4 stars. Again, it was super solid. The second book in this series isn't out yet, and I will read it. Like, I liked it enough, like, I will read it for sure. So yeah, it was the Moretti Malice #1. There was some dominant scenes. There was some of that, like, pleasuring myself while he watches type of thing. And there was some squirting in this one. So we love to see that sprinkled in, as it were. And then trigger warnings, there's violence. There are animal attacks and hunting animals for food because this is a survival story. So be prepared for that. And yeah, that's it. That was my week. I finished that. in the middle of right now, like why I said I'm so excited, I have Slapshot Surprise, which I decided like I'm holding off on a little bit because that one doesn't come out till October 1st. And Melanie Harlow just spoils us and we got it super early. But I did start In the Details last night, okay? Which doesn't come out till September 12th. But as I said on my Instagram, I am legally obligated to, when I have a Julia Wolf book plopped onto my Kindle, I need to read it. Legally obligated to myself to not wait. And I am just devouring that right now. So you'll definitely have my review of that next week. So that is a wrap for this week of August. I was going to say October. No, we're not that far in yet. Again, thank you so much for supporting me, to all my patrons and channel members. I love y'all so much. Definitely check out Rake Appreciation Society if you want to read historical romance with us. The Book Refuge Etsy, as I said, is 35% off. That means some of these are basically like $9, $10 for some of my sleeves. It's great. The computer sleeves fit up to an 11-inch device. Like this is a 10-inch device here. Fits those in there. It's great. So yeah, check those out. And we'll see you in the next video. Video coming on Tuesday, everybody. It's another kinky one, and I think you're going to like it. I think you're going to like it. We'll see you next time, guys. Bye.